Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with a growing rift between the president of the Cincinnati Police Union and a group of black officers.
There are calls tonight for FOP President Dan Hils to step down. Walter Smith-RANDOLPH was the first person to report this story on Wednesday. He's live downtown now with the latest chapter. Walter, good evening.
Good evening, Paula and Kyle. Now, both Dan Hils and Iris Roley are members of the Cincinnati Collaborative Agreement, as well as the city manager's advisory group. Now, Dan Hils tells us that he believes that Iris Roley is the one who should lead these groups, but tonight her supporters say Dan Hils needs to go, but he tells me he's not stepping down. Iris Roley is taking a stand and pushing back.
So it pains me to stand here today to say that I'm in fear, because I've not been in fear all this time until this day.
Roley's fear comes after FOP President Dan Hils penned this letter to the city manager, asking him to reconsider Roley's role on the Cincinnati Collaborative Agreement and the city manager's advisory group.
If it's about the work, I can understand, because we can get at the table and negotiate terms and agreements. But for Dan Hils to say it out of his own mouth that this is personal?
Hils told Local 12 earlier this week that he's making the personal decision to no longer work alongside Roley. Hils says Roley crossed the line when she picketed outside of Judge Patrick Dinkelacker's home in the wake of former Judge Tracy Hunter's jail sentence.
She does have a First Amendment right. So do I. I have a First Amendment right to say that I'm not going to sit with somebody who goes about their protest in that way.
Roley, a program manager for the Cincinnati Black United Front, has played an integral role in reforming the Cincinnati Police Department after the civil unrest in 2001. At Friday's press conference, the lawyer for the Cincinnati Black United Front said Hils' letter amounts to harassment.
For him to come in and try to ride her out of her appointed position on the manager's advisory committee is over the top and needs to be reined in, and he needs to be disciplined.
It's still unclear what will come of Hils' letter to the city manager, but council member SEELBACH says Hils' behavior is alarming.
You know, as a public figure, he seems to do more harm than he does good. And in a time that our country is more divided than ever, we need to bring people together. And Dan Hils seems to have a very good knack at putting people apart.
Now, late tonight, Dan Hils did respond to these calls for his resignation. He tells me that he will not be stepping down, and he also tells me that he still believes that Iris Roley is the problem. To see his full statement, head to local12.com and click on his story. As for the city manager, now we have reached out for comment, but we haven't heard back just yet. For now, reporting live from Mount Adams, Walter Smith-RANDOLPH, Local 12 News. Paula, Kyle?
Walter, thank you. Cincinnati has voluntarily participated in the collaborative agreement since federal oversight ended back in 2007. The FOP voted to opt out of the collaborative refresh in 2017, but quickly rejoined after an outcry from community leaders.